Okay, hello and welcome everyone to today's event. I'm Jason Gumpert from msdynamicsworld.com, and I'm pleased to welcome you all here for today's session all about partner success with Business Central. Our presenters today are Dave Wallen and Scott May of Velosio. It's great to have them with us. As we get started, please do know that we do welcome your questions, and we do hope to keep things interactive. We have a poll question for you to look out for in a few minutes, and we do welcome you to ask questions really at any point throughout the event. Look for the Q&A block to the right of the slides and enter your questions. And as we go, I know that Dave and Scott will be leaving time for those questions near the end of their presentation. So without any further delay, let's get started. I'm going to hand things off to Dave Wallen to start us off.
Thanks, Jason. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. So, yes, thanks, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And just to give a little background on Scott and myself, first to introduce Scott, he is the Director of Channel Programs for the Stratos Cloud Alliance. He began his career in the ERP world in 1988 with Solomon Software, which was later acquired by Microsoft, and has operated in the Microsoft ERP space ever since, holding a variety of sales, channel, and customer service positions. For the past 15 years, he has primarily been focused on partner management and enablement and has helped hundreds of partners build and grow their businesses. Scott manages our Cloud Solution Provider partner programs as well as our Dynamics Master VAR program. So say hi to everyone, Scott.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar.
All right. And again, my name's Dave Wallen. I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing at Velosio. I've held selling and marketing positions in the Microsoft channel since 1999, first on the platform side, focusing on collaboration and communication solutions like Exchange and SharePoint, and then moving into the Dynamics world, working for both resellers and ISV focused on both ERP and CRM solutions. Now, you may not be familiar with the name Velosio, but our legacy in the Dynamics world is very strong. Velosio was created at the beginning of this year through the combination of Socius, SBS Group, and Plumline Consulting. Our tagline, "What's Your Next?" describes the mission of Velosio because every day we wake up helping our partners go from what is to what's possible. What's Your Next embodies that philosophy and focuses on what's in your future. Velosio is, we think of ourselves as the partner's partner for success with Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft Cloud. We're the only North American partner authorized as both an indirect CSE distributor and Dynamics Master VAR, and we provide partner programs for resellers and ISVs. We connect partners, publishers, technologies, and subject matter experts into a community that shares similar opportunities and challenges, and what this means for you is a unique partner experience. Our theme for today is best summed up by Satya Nadella. As he says, our industry does not respect tradition, it only respects innovation. And to that, I would add a corollary. Customers do not reward tradition, they only reward innovation that drives value. And I think this is where, Jason, you're going to put up a poll question. Great. So as you see there, what percentage of your business has transitioned to be cloud-focused? A 0 to 25, B 25 to 50, C 51 to 75, and D 75 plus. So we're going to focus today again on how partners can position themselves to take advantage of the Dynamics 365 opportunity. We'll overview the Business Central or BC opportunity, discuss why partners need to evolve to succeed in the cloud ERP space, outline a basic action plan for change, and introduce some resources and programs that Microsoft has invested in to help partners make the transition, including their funding of the Ready to Go or RTG workshop, which is a one-to-one practice development program for partners that expands on a lot of the action plan and a lot of the topics that we'll be outlining today. So let's get started. As Microsoft partners, we see a lot of statistics on the cloud opportunity, and these are generally very broad, very global, and I really like this slide that Microsoft provided us because it's specific to today's discussion, and it illustrates a $10.5 billion opportunity in the next 12 months for dynamic solutions in the SMB market. So this is really about what the opportunity, the economic opportunity is for us today. And most people on the call are probably familiar with Dynamics 365 Business Central, but for those who you are new to Dynamics 365 BC, you want to do a quick review. Dynamics 365 Business Central is Microsoft's next generation of intelligent business applications in the cloud. It harnesses the power of one Microsoft, and deep integration between Dynamics 365 and Office 365 brings together two worlds of business process and personal productivity. Users leverage familiar tools like Excel and Word within the context of business processes, significantly increasing productivity and decreasing context switching. Power BI and Cortana Intelligence are natively embedded into these business apps for predictive insights, prescriptive advice, and actionable next steps. Businesses can also adapt and innovate in real time with a common data model and an extensible business application platform that includes Power Apps, Flow, and Power BI. And finally, there is Microsoft AppSource, where business users can easily find and evaluate line of business SaaS applications from Microsoft and Microsoft partners across not only Dynamics 365, Office 365, Cortana Intelligence, and Azure. And it's that platform story that is really the big differentiator for Dynamics 365 Business Central and the opportunity for partners. Now, selling DC out of the box with just configuration is not a viable business model unless you have enormous scale. Can Best Buy build a practice that way? Sure, but a typical partner won't be able to streamline commodity-level configuration services costs to compete with larger organizations on price. What you need to do is start with BC and leverage all the elements of the Microsoft Intelligent Cloud, the other D365 services, Office 365, Azure, ISV solutions on AppSource, and then your own business and technical IP to create targeted high-value solutions that can drive recurring revenue at higher margins. And to compete in the cloud and cloud world and seize this opportunity, you are going to need to evolve as a partner because the marketplace and the channel are rapidly changing. Now, partners in the past focused on particular workloads, industries, or domains. They identified themselves by their Microsoft competencies, ERP, CRM, business productivity, BI, app platform, whatever, or by their business model. I'm a learning partner, I'm an SI, I'm an ISV, I'm a VAR, I'm a reseller, I'm an MSP, whatever the case may be. But over the past couple of years, Microsoft has broken down those walls, especially in the SMB space. First, through the introduction of the CSP program, enabling any partner to resell most Dynamics 365 SKUs, and now through the continuing evolution of the One Commercial Partner program. I mean, just the name there says it all. The bottom line is that Microsoft is all in and focused on driving cloud consumption. And to stay relevant as a partner, you need to orient yourself and your business to align with what they're trying to accomplish. And so firstly, it's a must to participate in the CSP program. And we cover a lot of detail about the program itself in our white paper, Demystifying the CSP program. Most content on the subject is focused on Azure or Office partners because there's so many more of them. But our partner was written with the Dynamics partner in mind. So if you haven't explored CSP yet, I highly recommend you download our white paper either from the Stratos Cloud Alliance website or from the MS Dynamics World website. It's posted on both. And then another thing to focus on is AppSource. AppSource provides a modern discovery and provisioning system for Dynamics 365 solutions. And for customers, it's the destination to find and evaluate apps from Microsoft and from partners that can drive their businesses. For ISV, Microsoft AppSource is the destination to market line of business SaaS apps to business users on the Microsoft platform. And resellers can also package IP and service offerings into solution bundles, as well as listing service-only offerings that leverage Microsoft solutions. So there's opportunities for everyone. And here's kind of a slide Microsoft provides called the IP staircase. And what this is demonstrating is the levels of value that partners can add by packaging or bundling apps and services in their solutions. So you start at the bottom, and there really isn't much revenue there in Office 365, but for most partners, especially outside of the Dynamics world, it's the base of the pillar. And it's an opportunity for Dynamics partners as well because it's so dominant and pervasive in the market. And next up is revenue from Microsoft Business Application Services. The base business functionality customers are going to get from BC, if you're focused on BC, but also the other Dynamics 365 services from Microsoft. Bundling these basics of one Microsoft, Office 365 and Dynamics 365 begins the process of building a sustaining recurring revenue stream. You can build further on this by adding your ongoing support to the monthly cost of a package. But to significantly add to your monthly recurring revenue and increase those margins, you need to add additional functionality, whether that's through AppSource ISVs and ideally leveraging your own IP, whether that IP is your own technical bits or your domain expertise that's adding value to your customers and adding to the size and value of your solution. Microsoft has identified these 6 areas of focus that successful partners who've evolved and understand how to leverage the Microsoft platform and how to use modern ways to market and deliver solutions to customers. And the Move to Modern Action Plan and the Ready to Go workshops were developed by Velosio and Microsoft to provide a prescriptive framework for Dynamics partners to develop in these areas and make a profitable transition to a cloud-based business. Scott and his team are currently leveraging these tools with dozens of partners. So I'm going to pass things over to Scott to kind of get things started and introduce these programs.
Oh, great, Dave. Certainly a ton of great information there and lots to think about for partners going forward. And I think that's going to, continue to be the case. So, now I'd like to really cover our Move to Modern, kind of the action plan. And this is a workshop that, we do with our partners that goes into great depth, and we're going to cover it at a very high level today. So, the Cloud Solution Action Plan, it outlines the primary activities, you should be as a partner considering while planning and building a scalable cloud practice. We know each organization, really kind of starts on its, cloud journey from a different starting point, if you will. So the Cloud Action Plan, it's really designed to help partners reduce the common risk associated with, building a repeatable, cloud practice. And, developing a cloud solution practice, it requires new thinking, new business skills, new resources, and certainly, new ideas. So, for some partners, structuring the practice as a new business unit is better rather than structuring it as a new product, if you will, just for, let's say, Dynamics, 365 BC, because, it will basically result in fewer mistakes and, an accelerated customer acquisition, process. So let's take a closer look at the primary activities, of the journey, again, at a high level. As Dave mentioned, in order to make money, in the cloud world, being just a horizontal ERP partner is really going to be difficult unless you can get to a significant volume. So you really need to begin your journey by identifying your market, sweet spot, or spots, if you will. And, there are areas that you might have deep vertical industry knowledge and expertise, either with your existing client base or niche markets that, you have, specific IP solutions around, or it could be, in conjunction with an ISV solution that fits a vertical, that you serve and that you can add value to from that standpoint. So, after identifying your sweet spot or spots, then you're going to have to quantify your, addressable market and its potential ROI before you go making, significant investments to go after it, if you will. So you have to answer questions like, is it large enough to serve and drive the demand you're going to need to be successful? Are there enough prospective clients in the region that you want to serve? Is there enough value in your solution that prospective clients are going to want to pay, for it or additional for it, if you will? If your ROI works out, then you have to look at the competitive landscape and the differentiators. Are there already a lot of established competitors, that's going to make it difficult to penetrate the market or to get, enough market penetration to be successful? And, what would set you apart from the competition? Or would you just be a Me Too solution out there and that's going to be difficult. Then you'll need to identify, what the demand drivers are in that market. Is it a growth industry that's fueling, kind of the change? Are most prospects, in the market still on older legacy systems that, they have to move off of, which is going to promote them to move to your solution? Or is it an industry that's, predominantly manual, if you will, and, from that standpoint, the solution that you offer significant productivity improvements for them to move. So, you'll just need to make sure that there are, forces that are going to, be driving, the market to go through and change. So, then after that, you'll need to understand and define, what your value proposition is to the market and those clients. Why are they going to want to work with you versus the competition? What's your value add? What's your value proposition? Is it the IP solution that you bring to the table? Is it the level of industry standing and expertise that you can bring to work with them? Or is it, the people and processes that, are really going to set you apart? Your value proposition has to be very clear and concise, to the market going forward. It's why prospects are going to want to pay, additional for the services and the solutions that you're offering to them. So, once you've completed that step, you can move on to the next step, which is building a product development plan. And so, is your IP already productized that you have, if you have any? If so, is it available on AppSource that Dave mentioned before? And is it available for, use with Dynamics 365 Business Central? Or is it a solution you're going to need to, further develop to get it to that point? And if that's the case, then you'll have to decide if you're going to do the development internally or if you want to work with an external partner to help you get there. As Dave mentioned, we offer an AppSource Workshop as well for partners and ISVs to help them plan for this, and I'll touch upon that later in today's presentations. You also need to identify, services that you can, attach or what we refer to as be bundled with your market focus or solution. These can be prepackaged implementation services or, specific industry configuration processes that you do, that really set you apart, from the competition in the market that you're going after. Then you'll have to figure out, of course, how you have to price it. Are you going to sell it, as upfront services, or what's becoming more prevalent today, you're going to make it part of the monthly ongoing fee and include ongoing support as part of that fee as well? Those are all questions that you really need to think through and get answered. After all of that, you need to build your economic case, of course, for going after that market. How many clients you're going to have to close each month? What's the average number of seats? The average amount of services that you're going to need that, in order for it to be a profitable practice for you. Also, what are the add-on solutions that you're going to need to sell along with it, such as Progressus for professional service automation, Microsoft 365, Power BI, or other workloads that can, move into Azure, along with it. So today it's not just selling one solution, but you've really got to go through and incorporate the whole Microsoft cloud stack in order to be successful. So there's certainly a lot to think about, along the journey. So in order to kind of eat the elephant one bite at a time, we recommend breaking the activities into, 5 key focus areas. And the first area is basically the business management area. And this area is responsible for making, communicating, the organizational commitment to develop an industry, vertical, or workload-oriented cloud solution. And ideally, as I mentioned before, one that includes a broad, range of differentiating Microsoft solution sets. The next focus area is the solution development. This person or persons, they must assemble a cross-functional team to define their, cloud market solution set. And then it should include minimum functionality required to address one or more of your target customers' significant business challenges. This is what's going to drive prospects' engagement, accelerate sales cycles, and help you achieve, a consistently high win rate. So cloud solutions that address, process challenges spanning multiple Microsoft Cloud practice areas, by default, basically, they help you drive differentiation and certainly achieve, higher margins. For example, a complete Microsoft solution set for professional service organizations that might include, Business Central, Progressive for project accounting, Microsoft 365, and Power BI, for reporting and analytics, and all packaged into one solution and delivered, at one price per month per user to the client. So the solution really should include the whole Microsoft Cloud stack that will benefit the client's, entire business ecosystem, if you will. Then you'll need to, really build a marketing focus. So, cloud practices require a constant, predictable flow of inbound leads, and, your marketing motion, if you have one, will likely require significant adjustments. Today's inbound traffic, it does effectively drive a higher volume of leads, but at a lower value. So, marketing will need to develop, a content calendar and an asset inventory to continually drive, those leads. And then in addition to that, you'll have to have kind of an early nurturing stage, to track those leads and their responses. And, it's critical to be able to go through and drive higher conversion rates. And you should go through and have basically a marketing automation system to effectively manage the high volume of interactions. That would be something that we'd strongly recommend. Then you'll need to go through, just like the marketing, you'll need to automate your sales motion. It will be required to become kind of a repeatable cloud sales cycle process, and which will require dedicated sales professionals, and they're going to have to focus on a higher volume of transactions. You'll have to resist the temptation to assign repeatable cloud opportunities to what we refer to as solution sales professionals who are responsible for large, complex, project-based opportunities. That kind of hybrid role of having one person try and do both of those simply doesn't work. So you really need to source repeatable cloud sales candidates from either within the target industry or segment that you're going after that have that domain knowledge, or target recent college graduates with 1 to 2 years of business experience that you can train and get up to speed. And then you'll have to focus on evolving your services delivery. Like everything else in the brave new cloud world, the way you deliver services is going to have to change. Repeatable cloud solutions are really pre-configured to address very specific industry business challenges that we've mentioned before. Therefore, most of your deployment and projects should be very similar in scope, if you will, which is contrary to the historical time and materials-based implementations. Most cloud solutions, they're going to be a fixed fee project delivered within a defined number of days or hours. So, as a result, deployment resources must adopt a prescriptive approach, to really limit out-of-scope configuration changes, and develop also a robust library of on-demand training materials to help limit post-deployment support requirements, which is going to be critical. So you might be saying to yourself by now, wow, that's a lot that I have to focus on. Where do I even go through and get started? So, we'd recommend following these 4 steps to really getting started. First, the business management, as we mentioned before, they're going to have to make the decision as to what industry, vertical, or workload-oriented cloud solution to go after. They're going to need to commit to creating a goal, a timeline, and then start by sharing that vision with the rest of the focus groups. Second, you're going to have a champion, within the organization that's identified to take the lead to be a project business sponsor, and they'll be responsible for developing the business case, executing the project plan and organizational change initiative, while also working closely with all of the other focus area leads. Third, you'll need to go through and identify, who those other focus area leads will need to be. And then after that's done, you'll need to get those focus area leads, in a meeting to go through and meet with all the key stakeholders to review the goals, the timelines that have been developed, and to really get everyone's buy-in before moving forward. So now let's review just at a high level, who should be the designated owners, for each areas. It's, as I mentioned, it's important to get team buy-in, for your company's growth plans. You also want to have one individual who's really the point person, for each focus area to maintain accountability. And we certainly know in some cases, in some partner organizations, it's not going to be a one-to-one. There may be multiple, people with, multiple focus areas that they own. Again, the first one is the business management, and certainly the recommendations for this are, the owner, partner, CEO. And, again, this has to be someone who's going to really lead the communication to the company and rally everyone to, get behind the direction. The second is the cloud solution development. And again, typically that's somebody like the chief technical officer or lead development person. They're going to have to work to identify, what are those solutions, what are those IP that we can take to go through and go after a market, and then develop them or develop a plan to, outsource them, if you will. And then you have to have a build the marketing focus. Again, probably the chief marketing officer or director of marketing. And this person's going to have to be able to go through and lead the change in the way that, marketing is maybe currently being done within your organization, focusing on how it has to be done kind of in a cloud world going forward. Then, of course, you have to go through and have an optimized sales motion focus, either the VP of sales or director of sales. And again, someone capable of really driving adjustments to the sales motion, following the sales motion for the current, what we would consider complex ERP sales process is really going to be too expensive, slow, and not what today's, buyers are really looking for. Then, of course, you have to have a focus on evolving service delivery, and VP of product services are going to have to be capable of leading that charge and thinking about how do we package up the service implementations and services, that we had spoke about. So those are the focus areas. So now let's take a look at the business management action plan itself. So as you can see, the business management action plan is broken down into 30, 60, and 90-day time increments with very specific objectives to be completed in each section. So, within the first 30 days, you'll need to select that industry or vertical, kind of focus. You want to review your existing client base, in the specific industries, that you've deployed, find that sweet spot, is there sufficient market opportunity to go after? You also need to develop that, cloud practice economic model within that first 30 days. You'll need to have things like, a document to include the assumptions that you're making. What capital and investments are you going to need to make? What resources are going to be needed? What are the revenue projections required to develop, a successful business case? And then within 60 days, you'll need to go through and develop a cloud practice business plan, and that's got to include the solution development, the marketing infrastructure, sales resource costs, pricing strategy, client win rates. You'll need to recruit a marketing leader. And if you don't have one, you may need to go out and hire a marketing professional or find a partner that you can work with to help drive that cloud solution demand. You also need to go through and design a cloud sales compensation plan, which is certainly different than the traditional, ERP sales compensation plan. And then within the first 90 days, you'll want to define the partner-to-partner growth and scale of opportunities and discuss these with your partner, partnering on these opportunities, and also get them, posted on AppSource and Azure and your own marketplace to help start, driving those opportunities for your organization. So there's certainly, a lot to do in the business management focus area within the first 90 days, but that's really only one of the focus areas. So, Dave, do you want to go through and cover kind of the cloud solution development and the marketing action plans?
Absolutely. So this is, this is where you really take the decisions you make in the business management area and implement them into a go-to-market plan. And in those first 30 days, you define the service and the technical elements that are going to go into the solution, review options, and develop the initial budgets. What exists now, what can be sourced from potential partners, what needs to be developed, and what investments you need to be made to get there. In 60 days, you need to clearly define the scope, capabilities, and benefits and packaging of the solution, and you need to define what the initial pricing strategy is going to be. And finally, within that 90-day period, you need to review your staffing requirements. Scott kind of talked about before, you may need to source talent based on the complexity of the solution and your customer acquisition goals. And you need very strong alignment between your solution development and marketing action plan, since the findings from each will strongly impact the other. So in the 30-day time frame, you're going to research and document the market and the market opportunity for your very specific solution. You're also going to document business drivers, KPIs, and critical processes which your solution has to address for that market. Within 60 days, you want to have your content strategy for attracting prospects, the top of the funnel, and compelling calls to action and proof activities to convert that interest into leads. The MTM framework introduces the ideas of trials for this call to action, which is a best practice in the online world. It may or may not be right for you. A listing in AppSource requires a trial, so we've done it on a number of our solutions, and we've seen mixed results. So it really depends on the solution and your goals around it. Within the first 90 days, you need to have systems to support your marketing. You'll need a targeted landing page with content to drive traffic, and need some kind of marketing automation tool to push content out, as well as capturing and nurturing your conversions into leads. And then, Scott, they need to sell that stuff.
Always. Thanks, Dave. So I'm going to cover the two final parts of the action plan, which are the sales optimization and the evolving your service delivery, if you will. So, first you're going to have to optimize your cloud sales process down to a 3 to 4 or 5 step sales motion. It really can't be like old ERP sales motion. It has to be streamlined, efficient, with the new buyer persona in mind and how they want to go through and, be sold to, if you will. You'll need to define your target prospect profile and the qualification criteria based upon the market that you're going after, of course. It will have to have defined attributes and conditions for your cloud repeatable prospect profile to ensure that leads of that type are routed to the appropriate sales resources and into, the right nurture pool, if you will. And again, it has to be scalable sales process to really help you get the volume. So that's within the first 30 days. In the 60-day section, you'll really need to identify and source and onboard a cloud sales professional. This could be an external or internal candidate. However, since the profile is certainly radically different than the traditional ERP salesperson, it's probably a low probability that the position would be filled, internally, if you will. So you remember, this has got to be someone that, is from within the industry and has that vertical expertise or knowledge and know it well, or maybe somebody that is a recent, out of college grad that really can be, trained in this process. And you also need to configure sales assets, for your cloud offer, of course. And, you can modify the cloud SureStep sales process templates that are available, to reflect your industry or focus, or you can work with a partner that can assist you, with that as well. And then within 90 days, you'll need to design what we refer to as buy-in demonstration scenarios. You really need 4 to 6, high-impact demonstration scenarios, focused on your vertical that will, immediately and emotionally resonate with your target prospect profile. To be able to be delivered quickly, by a new sales representative, and potentially within, that first call, that you have with them to really get them hooked, if you will. Then you'll need to develop, a more comprehensive solution demonstration. But gone are the days where you can really develop a custom demo for each opportunity. This comprehensive solution demonstration, it's really a prescriptive 60-minute demo focused specifically on your target prospect's primary, pain drivers and those things that, of course, differentiate your solution in the market. There shouldn't be any general, show me the software, demos anymore. So now that you've got your revised sales process down, then you're going to have to figure out your service delivery plan. Like everything, the sales process, buyers are looking for something different. In the service delivery, buyers are looking for a different way to consume services. They want nowadays a predictable cost, lower risk, defined packaged service offerings. And some will want less, and some will want, more. So in the first 30 days, you really need to identify, new service offerings that can support your cloud offer for the vertical that you're going after. So you have to define, the selection, project, managed, and optimization services that will drive incremental value. What is it that's going to make somebody want to, pay additional for this? And then you'll have to identify a source that's going to do that, either internally, or basically, partner with an organization that can help you deliver those services. And typically, since you're industry focused at this point, these implementations are all similar in nature. And, the expensive, what we refer to kind of as problem solver resources, aren't necessarily well suited for, a repeatable process. So, as in the revised sales process, junior resources with a lower cost base are sometimes more effective, and they can also help, control scope containment more. Then within 60 days, you'll need to define a streamlined cloud solution implementation process and make sure it's repeatable, and certainly find ways to automate it with tools if possible. Good example is, today software isn't installed anymore. With our program, it's provisioned by our automated system via our marketplace technology. So you consistently have to look at how to go through and automate even on the service delivery side. Then within 90 days, you want to have developed what we would consider on-demand training assets. You should have a library of on-demand training assets that vary in type with video, webcast, tutorials, and that can be used to reduce what we refer to as post-deployment support requirements, and hopefully accelerate client adoption. And we have programs that help our partners out with this if that's something that you didn't have on your own. And, those could be bundled into the monthly cost, sold as part of a customer support package, or certainly sold individually as well, kind of, again, depending upon what type of prepackaged implementation service the client would purchase. So, at a high level, that's the move to modern, workshops. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the Microsoft self-serve resources that, are available to you and continue to grow as of today. And the first is, the Dynamics Learning Portal. And hopefully by now everybody knows that the Dynamics Learning Portal is now free to all partners with a valid MPN ID. And if you need any assistance with getting that set up, we can certainly help partners with that. It's continually being updated with more and more content on Dynamics 365 solutions, Business Central, F&O, all the CRM solutions. And, it's easy to navigate, and you can go out there and build, custom learning plans depending upon if you're a salesperson, if you're an implementer, if you're a developer. It has videos, webcasts, tutorials. It also has exam prep capabilities to help your team develop skills. So all I would say in regards to that is if you're not taking advantage of it, you should look into that, and we can certainly help anybody who needs some assistance with it. And, in addition to kind of the, training on the product, if you will, Dave, I know there's a lot of learning now available for partners, but there's also a lot of Microsoft marketing resources that can be leveraged nowadays. Can you touch upon that?
Sure, absolutely, Scott. Now, in addition to content that's available on Dynamics Learning Portal that that you can use as a basis for your own marketing materials, there's there's a new Microsoft tool, and I tell you, in the past, I've always been frustrated by Microsoft's partner marketing resources. They were generally scattered and disconnected, and you had to visit multiple sites, and it was really hard to find relevant content, relevant training in the same places or in any kind of context. This new website, the Microsoft Smart Partner Marketing website, is an amazing new partner resource for Microsoft. They divided the site into 3 sections: build a foundation, amplify your presence, and strengthen relationships. So that's for the different levels of the stages of development you might be in your marketing. And it's also designed with guided learning pathways, so you can find the resources relevant to the goals and the things you're trying to do, in addition to your level of marketing development. I highly recommend this resource, especially for partners without access to experienced marketing people. It's just a tremendous tool.
Great, thanks, Dave. I know we're finding out more and more, and I know that there's going to be more business central focused campaigns coming out that we'll be able to work with our partners on as well after directions. So that's certainly something that we're excited about and looking forward to. So, the Ready to Go workshops are another area that we're working with partners on that I just wanted to touch on quickly. Ready to Go workshop, it's a Dynamics 365 Business Central Partner Enablement Program that is funded by Microsoft and delivered by Stratos Cloud Alliance, and for a limited time free to our partners that we're working with. And so through our affiliation with Velosio, we are exclusively authorized by Microsoft to deliver this Ready to Go workshop program and provide resellers with the knowledge and resources they need, and build an action plan that they can execute to really get a jump on the competition and seize the ever-growing Business Central opportunity. So, the Ready to Go workshop program, what it'll do is match you with experienced business mentors that have 30-plus years of experience in launching and marketing and selling Microsoft Business application. And really, the engagement includes 3 sessions where your mentor will assess your readiness, align you with Microsoft, identify possible challenges and risks, and provide you tools to help build your go-to-market plan and simplify your journey to the D365 Business Central success. So, Microsoft's investing in partner success and providing resources and guidance for the development of the program. And even better, Microsoft is funding the cost, to the first wave of SCA partners that we're working with. So we're going to be doing kind of 2 different types, of workshops with our partners. There's the one-to-many workshop that we're going to be doing, which will be done in group sessions with multiple partners covering in more detail kind of the topics we discussed in this, presentation, peeling the onion back a little bit, if you will. And then there'll also be, what we refer to as one-to-one workshops for qualified Stratos Cloud Alliance resellers that we identify. And again, the one-to-one is really going to be focused, with each partner going through all of those areas in detail, and really going through and helping them build out, their D365, cloud business, plan for their organization. In addition to that, as I mentioned at the beginning, we've got basically a workshop for AppSource for partners and ISVs that want to go through and get their IP into AppSource. And so Velosio is one of 6 global partners authorized by Microsoft really to deliver this program to provide Dynamics ISVs and other partners with unique IP, the knowledge and resources they're going to need to get a jump on the competition and seize the Business Central opportunity. So, the AppSource Ready to Go validation workshop, it'll match you with experienced business and technical mentors, and they'll assess your readiness and again align you with Microsoft resources, identify challenges, and risks, and provide a roadmap to simplify your journey to the D365 Business Central on AppSource. And so the program will really begin with a one-on-one workshop, which is designed by Velosio's Chief Solution Strategist, Robbie Morrison, and Dynamics Nav MVP, Mahana Yadvada, and led by a group that does both sales and marketing as well as a technical mentor to assess your current state of kind of your solution. So the topics that we'll be going over in that workshop would be your go-to-market business model, your solution architecture and migration plan, what's your internal readiness to be able to do it, and taking a look at your existing digital marketing assets. The mentors will then analyze and document their findings and provide you with a detailed plan of recommended actions and resources, not only to get your solution migrated to AppSource, but to enable you to successfully market and sell your Dynamics 365 Business Central solution. So that's certainly an area, if you've got IP and you're looking for assistance in getting into Business Central and AppSource, we can help you out with as well. Next slide, Dave. And just in addition, if any of you on the call are attending Directions, which is coming up at the end of this month out in San Diego, we'll be doing a lot of different sessions. We're doing a Race to the Cloud, Build Your Microsoft Cloud Business Application Practice in 90 days. That's going to be on Monday, October 1st from 10:15 to noon. So if you're going to be there, we'd highly encourage you to attend that. We'll be doing that jointly with Microsoft. We'll also be doing a how to set up your Dynamics 365 Business Central demo. That's also on Monday from 3:30 to 4. And then on Tuesday, we're doing a tips and tricks to becoming a successful CSP, and that's from 1:15 to 2:15 on Tuesday. So certainly if you're going to be out at Directions, we look forward to seeing you there and having you attend some of those events that we'll be presenting at. That wraps it up for me, Dave. I'll turn it over to you guys for Q&A at this point.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Scott. And yeah, I think it's time for Q&A.
All right.
So I'm just looking through the questions that have come in here. So first one, well, it came in a while ago, just asking about access to a recording of today's event. We are recording that, and we will be sharing some details with everyone who registered on how to get access to that in the next couple of days. Another question that came in was just asking for you to explain the difference between the Finance and Operations offering and the Business Central offering.
Okay. Yeah, the Finance and Operations solution was a product formerly called AX, and that's really targeted at the enterprise level segment of kind of the ERP market, if you will, whereas the Business Central solution really targeted from a functionality and kind of out-of-the-box perspective at the traditional, what we refer to as SMB market space, that the solutions such as Dynamics Nav, Dynamics SL, Dynamics GP were typically positioned towards functionality-wise, solution-wise, as well as cost and investment-wise, if you will. So the D365 Finance and Operations solution certainly is more developed, for a specific company, versus the D365 Business Central is more of the solution that the majority of it is functionality is out of the box, but still has the capability of being able to tailor it, if you will.
All right. Next question asking about workshops. Are they virtual or in person?
They are virtual at this point.
All right. And a follow-up to that, how many people in my company could be in a workshop?
Well, in the workshops, again, as we mentioned, there's different focus areas. So we would certainly expect that if there's a different individual for each of those focus areas, there would be multiple people involved in the workshops as we go through the process. So wouldn't expect necessarily that just one person is going to be able to go through and cover all of that. So it's typically multiple people, especially in the one-to-one workshop.
All right, great. Just going back to our poll from a little earlier, I did just want to share the results. They're pretty broadly distributed on percent of business that's cloud focused. Thought that was interesting. So just a little bit more information there. And one other question I have, if you have any other questions in the audience that you were saving, please do enter them now. We have a little bit more time here. So the next question that I have is just asking about competency requirements. Are there competency requirements to publish on AppSource?
I would have to get back with you guys on that question. I'm not on that.
I know that one. There are no competency requirements, but you do have to be a member of the MPN, so you need an MPN number. And you have to there are requirements for the solution itself, but competency is not one of them.
All right. Another question that came in, we've been consulting on GP for many years. What's the best way to become a Business Central consultant?
The best way to become a Business Central consultant and get into doing D365 would be to join us as a Stratos Cloud Alliance partner, because we can help you transact D365 Business Central, and then we're also going through and doing an onboarding process with partners to help them to get access to resources to get their organization up to speed, both on the consulting side as well as the sales and the marketing side. We're working with partners to help them launch some prescriptive marketing programs, that we're working with our partners on. So, we're really here to help partners make that transition to starting to go through and build a profitable cloud practice.
All right, great. Another sort of informational question that maybe we could just touch on here is asking, is D365 Business Central based on NAV or something else?
The functionality is based upon the NAV functionality, so it is totally redeveloped, for the cloud in a solution called Extensions, and it is a totally focused cloud developed solution. So it's not just like a port over of the NAV solution, but functionality wise, it is on par with NAV functionality, and there's actually going to be another release in October after the Directions Conference, which will basically go through, and D365 will be the product name going forward, and you will either be able to get it in a cloud version or an on-premise version, and there will not be anything basically referred to as NAV going forward after that release, because the functionality will be equal to the current NAV 2018 product.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to think about it is if those who remember when AX7 launched and then quickly became finance and operations. The difference really is the difference between old NAV and D365 BC is analogous to the difference between AX 2012 and AX7 or F&O. It really is. There's a similarity in functionality, and there's certainly some code that was ported, but the basic, the basic infrastructure had to be rewritten to be a multi-tenant capable solution.
All right. Only other question I have here is just someone who's saying they're basically an independent consultant. Is there anything in the opportunities you've talked about today that are going to be applicable as opposed to a Microsoft partner?
Well, we do have independent consultants that are, becoming Stratos Cloud Alliance partners with us. We've got multiple levels of program, from referral partners to, what we would consider, building a full practice, around cloud and Business Central. So, we certainly have opportunity to work with independent consultants, and a lot of times we help, partner them up with other partners who, may need resources that, they can go through and utilize. So within the partner network, there's always an opportunity for, partner, resource sharing, that we help try and go through and facilitate, whether it's expertise, in different industries or things of that nature, or it's just, someone needs some additional bench strength in, a certain product. That's certainly something that we try and help, promote within our partner network. So yes.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks to everyone in the audience for your questions today and your participation. And Dave and Scott, of course, thanks to you for taking the time and taking us through so much information.
Great. I appreciate everybody's time today. Found it valuable. Thank you.
All right, great. And we will wrap it up there. Have a great day, everybody.